Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm your namesake, Ethan, along with most valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, how are you today?
I am great. How are you?
Everything is good. It is not Saturday, but we are still doing, drum roll, the weekly stream or skip segment. I introduce it, and then Pete takes over and, let's say, reiterates the rules of the game. So, Pete, without further ado, please remind everybody, new listeners and old listeners alike, what is stream or skip?
All right. So Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows for each other to watch. Every week, we randomly assign each other one of those shows. We watch at least 2 episodes or 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program. And on that basis, we determine if that show is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
Hence the title, Stream or Skip. This week, let's see where we are with what was assigned to me, the Pitt on... Oh my God, I can't even keep track of what it's called anymore. It used to be Max, but now it's back to HBO, right?
Back to HBO Max. I mean, the
more things change,
ineptitude
the more they stay the
at
same.
Warner Brothers is strong.
The ineptitude is strong at Warner. But what's even more surprising is that they must have, like, I don't know who's making these recommendations. Someone, right? Let's say it's an external consultant or like an internal group or someone, but they're not really doing anything dramatic, right? It just keeps kind of going back and forth. Like, okay, let's call it HBO. Let's make it HBO Plus. Let's make it HBO Max. Let's just call it Max. No. We're going back to HBO. For you and I, we've basically been calling it the same thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's HBO Max. It's
Yep.
stupid that they got rid of the name HBO because really that's the calling card.
That is the calling card.
And they had so many different services: HBO Go, HBO Now, HBO Max, Max Plus Squared. I don't know. It just cuts it.
Yeah. I love the Max Plus Squared. In any case, on Max, I had something called The Pitt, and you thought that this was a hospital drama similar to 24, whereby like every episode is kind of like 1 hour in the day in the life of.
Yeah, I thought it was a real-time show. I thought it was like 1 hour represented one actual hour.
Nope, it is not.
Oh.
But anyway, that's just not the format. It is, I mean, it is what it is, right? So it's described on IMDb as the daily lives of healthcare professionals in a Pittsburgh hospital as they juggle personal crises, workplace politics, and the emotional toll of treating critically ill patients, revealing the resilience required in their noble calling. But when I look at the cover, it says 15 episodes, 15 hours, 1 shift. So it does kind of seem like that, but to be honest, when I was watching it, I was not getting that at all. Like there's no countdown. Maybe I'm missing something like in the opening, but I'm honestly not getting that at all. So it is headlined by Noah Wyle. Noah Wyle, of course, was one of the longest standing members of ER.
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes and I have to say it's very meh. If you like hospital dramas, like if you loved ER or Chicago Hope or a more serious Doogie Howser or House MD, The Resident, which is on Netflix, this is a show for you. You'll love it. You know, it's got all the calling cards, all the hallmarks of, you know, a typical hospital drama. It's got, you know, the friendships, the relationships. It's got the young interns struggling. It's got all the right ingredients, to be honest. I can't say that it's actually missing anything. That is not particularly my drama. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in a healthcare profession. I've never been like in love with ER, even though the ER alum have gone on to be probably the greatest ensemble, I think, in like any show, right? I mean, from Clooney to Julianne Margulies and Noah Wyle. But so I guess what I'm saying is, from my perspective, The show is absolutely fine to keep on in the background if you're doing your laundry, cooking your noodles, paying your bills, whatever it is. It's perfectly good in the background. You're not really going to miss anything if it doesn't have 100% of your attention, but it doesn't. Maybe it's because there have been so many hospital emergency room procedurals that, to be honest, this doesn't really have anything super interesting. Like ER and like a lot of other shows, obviously it has I would say like a non-political take on a lot of contentious issue, whether it's like mental illness, elderly aging, drug use, addiction, things like that.
Sure.
It's not overly political, but obviously it does address those things in terms of the moral complexity of sorting out what is do the right thing, if you're a doctor. And of course, like a lot of these shows, Noah Wiley is the doctor that is brilliant and two steps ahead of everybody, but sometimes he's got an unconventional way of doing things, and that's supposed to be both charming and frustrating to hospital administrators. Not too much that I could say about this. I would say for me personally, this is a skip. In terms of the quality of the show, it's probably a mooch. But for me personally, this is a skip. I would never, unless someone again is a diehard ER fan, loved House, loved The Resident, can't get enough of this type of genre, I would say, okay, then this is a must subscribe or even a mooch for you. But for me personally, this is a skip. It just doesn't have anything really interesting that I couldn't watch in a different show. From a production point of view, I think the nice thing about a show like this is that it's probably going to age well, just like ER. I mean, I haven't watched ER in 20 years or more. I would imagine you can watch an episode of ER and maybe just because of the cameras used, you wouldn't think that it's 2025, but it probably wouldn't look like it's 30 years old. There's not a lot of like everyone's mostly in scrubs, right? Or just kind of shabby. So you can't really tell like what the fashion is at the time. No one's really on their phones, right? I mean, it's in an operating theater. So again, like technology isn't really so prominently featured, medical technology, even though it's advanced from a ER perspective or a surgical perspective, probably doesn't seem much different, now or then. So I'd say this show is probably going to age pretty well, which probably makes it one of the reasons that it's nice to do something that's kind of a refresher on ER. It's on HBO. It's got a big name in Noah Wiley. Everyone else to me is unknown, but I'm sure they've got, quite good credentials. So again, I'm giving it a skip, but it's not to diminish the quality of the show.
Okay.
So that is The Pitt on what is now referred to as HBO Max. Pete, what do you got?
All right, moving swiftly on. I had a show on Netflix called No Good Deed. It is a comedy and it stars a few popular names. It's got Lisa Kudrow of Friends fame,
Oh, yeah.
Ray Romano of Everybody Loves Raymond,
Yeah.
Dennis Leary,
Oh, wow.
Abby Jacobson, Linda
Wow.
Cardellini. It's got some big hitters. The show is about Ray Romano and Lisa Kudrow are married and they are trying to sell their house and they're having marital problems because their oldest son died in that house during a burglary that went wrong. It's one of those marriages that seems everything like it's okay, but really it's obviously not.
Hmm.
Dennis Leary plays Ray Romano's brother. He's kind of involved in the underworld or as a criminal. He went to jail. He's just gotten out of jail. And then we start to learn that he went to jail because he helped Ray Romano and Lisa Kudrow with a crime. And the question is, what is that crime? And then we learn that maybe the son didn't die under normal circumstances or under the circumstances under which he
Ooh.
died maybe wasn't as mysterious as they make it out to be. And
Oh,
you slowly start uncovering that. And in the meantime, they're trying to sell the house because they think that, if they get away from the house, then any traces of the crime that may or may not have happened while they were there kind of gets swept under the rug, that kind of thing. But it's played off as like a dark comedy.
oh,
So
it doesn't sound like a comedy. It sounds more like Nine Perfect Strangers kind of thing.
kind of, but comedic in the sense that again, it's a dark comedy.
Hmm.
It's not meant to make you laugh, but at the same time, some of the situations are humorous.
Okay.
Long story short,
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it.
Oh.
It didn't land for me. It didn't pull off the elements of humor. I don't think the chemistry between Ray Romano and Lucio Kudrow was great. I did like Dennis Leary's character. I did like his interactions with Ray Romano, his interactions with
Yeah.
Lisa Kudrow. But that third angle, I wasn't a big fan of. And then the other thing the show does is it introduces three other families who are all trying to buy that house.
No.
And so you have a lesbian couple who are just about to have a kid, you have a married couple who are having a kid, and then you have a celebrity from a soap opera who's got a gold digging wife who's run into some financial problems and he's buying the house. It's just you know what? You're right. It is a little bit like Nine Perfect Strangers that way. It's just
Yeah.
a hodgepodge of different characters. And of course, they're all connected somehow. And that somehow is that they're all trying to buy this house.
Hmm. I have to say, Ray Romano, who I think has actually become like, I don't want to say he's a serious actor because he's always been a serious actor, but he started kind of as a comedian and we knew him from the sitcom Everyone Loves Raymond. But I feel like he's really kind of turned into a strong character actor, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you think this is a skip?
It is. It didn't land for me. I didn't finish it, so I don't know how it ends. But I did see, I think three, no, I think I
Hmm.
saw four, maybe five episodes. And just by the end of it, I was like, all right, I can't continue this.
Yeah.
And I was on a flight, so I was like as captive as you could get me. I just couldn't do it.
Oh yeah. All right. So that's No Good Deed. Nothing good to say about it on Netflix. Okay. What do we have next week? I feel like next week's not bad.
All right, so next week you're on Netflix. You're watching a show called Griselda,
Damn right.
and I am on Apple TV watching a show called Disclaimer.
Pete, before we sign off, I think we've got to talk about something really, really important. And to be honest, Streamer Skip today was a little bit like the appetizer. And now we're kind of getting to the main course, right?
Absolutely, let's do it.
The Last of Us season 2 finale just dropped, and we've watched all 7 episodes of season 2, right?
Yes, we have.
Pete, you played both the Last of Us games, right? The first and the second one.
I did, yes.
So you knew it very well even before the series dropped. I had never heard of this before, but I knew it was a big deal. So I think we've watched it through different eyes, which is, again, good benefit of the Films and Stuff podcast. Where were you at the end of season 1? Let's just recap. How did you feel about this at the end of season 1?
I thought it was fantastic.
Okay. I'm going to divide my score or my assessment in two. I loved it as a television artwork. I thought it was extraordinarily well done. I thought the cast was great. I thought the story was great. I thought the writing, the dialogue, the pacing, I give it A plus. Did I really enjoy watching it? I would say like the story for me was just kind of meh. Like it started kind of as a zombie story, which I thought started way too fast and escalated way too quickly. And then it turned into more of a drama. And I just didn't love the story, although I recognized it was, look, it's not like they're following the script of the game, but I thought it was extraordinarily well made, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens in season 2. It was like, that was very well done. Happy I spent time on it. Not going to miss it if it doesn't come back for 3 years. It wasn't like the Targaryens or, like something that I'm just, Umbrella Academy, something that I'm just chomping to see the next season.
Right.
So that's where I was before season 2. Season 2 came at 7 episodes. You watched it. What are your thoughts now as someone who played the game after season 2?
So again, what they've done was like they did for season 1, the TV series followed the video game
Yeah.
reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
They've made a few creative choices, and I think on average, the creative choices that they made were appropriate. But for some reason, and actually not for some reason, I think it's the same reason I didn't like the second game as much as I liked the first game. I think that actually hurt the second series of the TV show because I really disliked the second game.
Really? What did you not like about the game? You didn't like the characters? You didn't like the action? Like, what didn't you like about the game?
So the gameplay itself was absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with the gameplay. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I didn't like the story. I thought this was a narrative-driven thing. I didn't like how they did the story, and that's obviously a big reflection of why I didn't like season 2.
Okay. I feel actually, I feel mostly the same way, although I didn't have the benefit of playing the game. Once again, I mean, if there are awards, for television series, I know there are, but I think this should win every award. I think the casting is great. I think the acting is great. I think the dialogue is great. I think the set design is great. I think it's got fantastic story. It intersperses the backstory. It's very well justified. Honestly, if these folks would write, if they would have written, episodes 7, 8, 9 of Star Wars, I think that they would be a much more cohesive Star Wars third trilogy. But I don't really like the show. And I don't like the show. One, it's not about cordyceps anymore. It's not about zombies anymore, which I'm happy. It's somewhere between or let's just say a love story and some type of father-daughter story and a revenge story. And I have to say, to be honest, everyone is really repugnant to me.
Yeah.
Like I really, I mean, I don't consider myself like the beacon of morality who's having, this podcast with you just so I can like thump my Bible and tell everyone what's right or wrong, what's, and just take like this morally superior position. But the whole reason for this episode or for this season is Bella, who's played fantastically, by the way. I cannot say anything bad about her as an actress or actor. She's playing fantastic, but Bella is awful. She's got obviously some charisma. I mean, she has a lot of charisma as a character, but like if you think about, when I think about what this is all about, at the end of season 1, Joel did something horribly, horribly selfish, right? He chose, instead of trying to find a cure for this disease that was just eating up humanity, he decided that he needed to go back in his psyche and protect the daughter that he couldn't protect. And he chose not just to protect Bella, but he chose to kill everybody. Everyone who was, to be honest, entirely innocent, right? Fireflies, doctors, nurses, everybody. He just decimated that hospital. Yes, all the guards were inept. And yes, it's just unrealistic that he could have done this on his own, but he did. And that was just a horrible, horrible act. Like there's no, I think, universe where you can really justify what he did. You can find reasons for why he did it, right? And maybe those are compelling reasons in his own psyche, but no one can say that what he did was the right thing to do, considering what the stakes were. And then in season 2, we see that, this is just about revenge from Abby, right? And Abby's father, we got a great backstory. We find out why Abby, is so upset, not just because her friends, other Fireflies died, but because her father, a doctor, who is entirely innocent, right, was killed. I mean, basically executed by Joel. She wanted revenge on Joel. Now I think we're into like of a moral gray area, which is revenge right? Is revenge wrong? Let's say it's wrong, but she's got a legitimate kind of eye for eye reason in doing what she does. She doesn't wipe out everybody. She says, look, you're the person to do it. I'm going to kill you only. Bella gets involved. She sees it. Bella's life is spared. Stupid strategic decision. I think we've seen enough shows to know that. And then Bella's all about revenge, which is the second part of season 2. And Bella's revenge to me is, again, in a way justified because she lost the person that she cares about. But Bella knows why Abby needed to get her revenge. So Bella's revenge seems particularly selfish as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just stuck by the repugnancy of, in the greater context of humanity trying to survive, all these like different factions of humans are finding reasons to fight and kill each other, right? Much like the Scars and the Wolves in Seattle. We're seeing more humans are trying to find reasons to eliminate each other. Cordyceps and the zombies don't even like really make an appearance, but for maybe 1 or 2 episodes, you know? So I found the whole thing kind of repugnant, and I just couldn't really get behind enjoying the series, even though every episode I didn't want to look away because the story and the way that the story is done is very compelling to me.
So I'll push back. I think the writing has been a huge downgrade, or maybe not a huge, maybe I'm being overly critical, but I think the writing has been relatively less good than last season. The issue I've also got is that they took one of the diverging aspects in the game was that Bella Ramsey's character, Ellie, is all about rage that drives her in the story, in the game. Right. And in the TV show, you see a bit of that, but you also see like these moments of, I don't want to call it levity, but like moments of lightheartedness, right? Like she finds out Dina is pregnant. One of the stupidest lines I've ever heard anyone say, I'm going to be a dad. Okay, which I thought was an absolutely insanely stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is like, you're supposed, like in the game, that was also a moment, and okay, you bear with me, I haven't played the game in years, but if I remember correctly, like that was when she finds out that Dina is pregnant, like it only drives her rage even more, right? And in this, she's kind of not like that. And then she's so flippant about Jesse. I don't know, the whole thing didn't make good sense to me. And again, this is probably why I also didn't like the game. I think there was a lot of problems I had with the game. And before I get added by everyone else, look, there was a lot of controversy around the game. And a lot of it had to do with the character's sexuality, the character's gender identity, all of those different things. This has nothing to do with any of that. I couldn't care less about them being lesbians, about anyone identifying however they want to identify. It doesn't make a difference to me. Again, the game on its own, if you looked at just the gameplay, was very good.
Yeah.
But if you looked at the story, like the story itself, I didn't like it. I wasn't a big fan of it. And I think the show suffers for it because if you look at it, one of the things that was also the best thing about season 1 was the interplay between Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey.
Yeah.
And by killing Pedro Pascal in the second episode, like you lost a lot of that chemistry. And with all due respect to everybody else, no one has that chemistry on the TV show. And that chemistry is missing, except for, Bella Ramsey and Dina do not have that chemistry on screen together that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey did.
So I think a few things. I mean, one, I agree. I think that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey had just the magical chemistry that you dream of when you try to put two actors together, right?
Yeah.
I have to say, I kind of feel maybe it's not that level of chemistry because the bar is like impossibly high, right? It's at the pinnacle of height. But I thought that Dina and Bella actually, like, I can see their relationship, right? I mean, it kind of started off as a little bit friendly. Like, I have to say, of all the problems I have, I don't really have their relationship as a problem. I think that, again, it's not the same level of chemistry that we saw with Pedro Pascal, but it's still, for me, a believable level. I know that you're disappointed that Pedro Pascal died. I mean, I understand from the game that he was killed off, and that I think that's a natural part of the show. And I have to say, like, sometimes less is more. That, his death, even though they've had a number of flashbacks and have kind of brought him back, especially in like episode 6, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been such a huge void. And frankly, that relationship has kind of gone, I thought, as far as it could. Like, it's ended, every relationship ends, and you just hope it ends in a really, really good place. And I think that it ended in such a good place that it's natural as fans that we kind of want more of that. Like, we're addicts when it comes to that. But realistically, it would never meet the level again. So I'm kind of happy that it ended. Now the show can kind of like progress. The
But it
big
didn't end on a
cliffhanger.
good place, right? That was the problem. I think and that's probably the biggest problem I had with it, is that it doesn't end on a good place.
What do you mean?
Is in the sense that Ellie and Joel have that huge friction. She tries to forgive him, but she never gets a chance to, or he never gets a chance to redeem himself because he dies the next day.
Okay, so maybe what I mean is, according to the narrative of the story, that's correct. According to the sequence of the episodes, I think that's not correct because based on episode 6, we kind of have that nice backstory that shows like how tight they were and kind of like reframes their relationship. So I thought,
Absolutely. But then it
yeah,
ends horribly, right?
yeah,
Like even at the end of that
yes,
episode, it ends
chronologically, yeah,
horrendously badly
yeah.
because the last thing we see is that, first of
She,
all, he lies
she
to
rats
her,
him out.
which,
He,
by the way,
yeah,
doesn't happen in the game. That was one of the big departure points, right? So in the show, he shoots the psychotherapist's husband,
uh,
right? And in the game, he dies naturally, if I
oh, I
remember
didn't know that.
correctly.
Okay.
So he's now framed as a liar in front
Hmm.
of Ellie for the second time. And the second thing is that she has that massive confrontation with him, right? And that was the last real interaction between them before
Hmm.
he's killed the next day.
Hmm. What do you think? So let me ask, we're gonna have spoiler alerts, right? So at the last thing we see is Abby shows up, points the gun at Bella or Ellie, and screen goes black, soprano style, and you hear the gun go off.
Yeah.
Is the implication, I've read on this online, I'm not sure what it is the implication that Ellie dies, or is the implication that Dina or someone shoots Abby?
I'm not going to tell you because surprise, surprise, season 3.
Do you know?
I assume this will be just like the video game. And then we saw at the very end, we see that we go back in time,
You saw
and
Abby
now
day
we see
one.
Seattle day one, and it's
Hmm.
clearly going to be Abby's story.
Okay, so where then Ellie does die.
Maybe, maybe not.
Look at you holding in the look
I
at you.
am only because this is a different kind of spoiler, right? We don't know if they're going to change it based on the game or not. So I don't want to
Okay,
say, especially because you haven't played the game.
all right. So we know what's in the game, but we don't know if it's going to be true to the game, basically.
Correct. Correct. To be fair, it's going to be new to me as well.
Okay. What's your rating of season 1, season 2, and overall?
So season 1 was a must subscribe. I really thought it
Yeah,
was fantastic. I thought it was great storytelling. I really
yeah.
enjoyed it. And I think season 2 started off relatively okay. And then the third episode and the fourth episode, I saw those. I was so disappointed because of the lack of chemistry. And again, this is a reflection not on the show. technically it's a great show.
Mhm.
Acting, great show. Mostly the writing is okay. I don't think it's great, but everything else not so bad. I think if you look at it on the technical aspects, it's like a strong must subscribe. Sorry, a strong remove someone's password, or at least a must subscribe again. Me personally, because I didn't like the game, and because I thought, and because it's reflected like that on the show, I almost made it a skip. But then you convinced me to watch the rest of the episodes. I'd actually
You're welcome.
stopped.
Yeah.
And then again, episode 6 with the flashback with Joel was such a strong high point again that I was like, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
It's a mooch someone's password.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, I'm gonna weasel my way out of this, but eventually I'll be fair about it. But like, if it was some of my more entertainment minded friends, let's say someone like you or someone that like really appreciated like the art of, like television entertainment, I would say it's a must subscribe because I think that technically it's just done perfectly. Like I said, if they would have used the same pacing and attention to backstory for like Star Wars episodes 7, 8, 9, I think we would be in a much better place for everyone. And we didn't. And that was obviously one of our big issues about Star Wars. And let's not go down that path because we'll be here for 5 hours. But if it were just one of my normal friends, kind of my beer drinking, sports watching, like more casual observers, I would give this a skip. I'd be like to my buddy,
Yeah.
like, you won't like it. You're not going to appreciate the pacing. You're not going to appreciate the backstory. You're not going to appreciate the attention to the set design is fantastic, by the way. Like
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
unbelievable. Like you're not with no, okay, there's some CGI, but like a lot of it is not. I would say like, you're not going to appreciate that, but you're not going to like the story. It's a skip. What I think in real life for me and for like if I'm giving it a grade is I would say it's a mooch. I just don't think the story is enjoyable enough or timeless enough to be a must subscribe. And must subscribes obviously have a very, very high bar. But I don't think this is a skip. I think it's very, very, very good entertainment that's just done in a way that's adjacent to what you and I like or want to see. But I
Yeah.
think that on the technical merits, if it won every single Emmy, I would not at all complain or think that that was unusual. I think
Yeah.
every single aspect of it is honestly among the best shows that I've seen. I can't say anything bad about it. I know that you're a little bit down on the dialogue, but just as a story, like just as true entertainment, for example, compared to Three Body Problem, which I'm just thinking of now, right? I would absolutely watch Three Body Problem right now, all of season 1 without question. I would put down what I'm doing. If someone's like, "Hey, I never watched Three Body Problem," I'd be like, "What? Let's watch it right now." And now that I think about it, I'm like, I can't wait until the next season of Three Body Problem. Whereas someone wanted to watch The Last of Us season again, I'd be like, nah, that's the
Yeah.
difference, I think.
I think you can also get that in terms of genre. Zombies, not my thing, generally
No,
speaking.
not a zombie show though.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is that
Yeah,
it stopped becoming more about the zombies, as you rightly
yeah,
pointed out. I
yeah,
think this season has been much more about emotional well-being in some
yeah.
ways, right? About how you're coping with regret and
The divisiveness of humanity. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I agree. Like what you think is everyone is just so consumed by revenge.
yeah,
They've lost sight of the fact that, as far as I could tell, society is entirely broken.
yeah,
I mean, and these shows obviously gloss over the day-to-day stuff. Everyone is focused on revenge. Maybe they all know that they're going to die like any given day, and that's just their only thing that they've got to do. But the day-to-day survival just seems to be entirely ignored, you know? All right, so that is stream or skip, where I laid it down for the Pit. Pete laid it down for the dark, not so comedy No Good Deed. Next week, I've got Griselda on Netflix. Pete's got Disclaimer on Apple TV Plus, and we gave it our all for The Last of Us. All right, Pete, read off our social media creds and all that YouTube jazz before we sign off for the day.
All right. Tweet at us at FNS Podcast. DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. But the best thing you can do, like this video, leave a comment below, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to our channel.
Ooh, yeah. Well done. Okay. Pete, thank you for joining today. Listeners, thanks for listening in. Looking forward to your feedback, and we will see you next week, next episode, Films and Stuff Podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.